Okay, so let's just dive right in. Have you ever had that little creative spark? A line from a song, a single image in your head, maybe just a feeling, and you thought, how on earth do I turn this into a real story? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're taking one simple idea and building the entire blueprint for a short anime video.
This right here, this is our source material. This single line is everything. It's not a plot, it's not a character, it's an emotion, a transformation. And from this one little feeling, we're going to build a whole world and a complete narrative. This is our creative North Star.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How do we get from this kind of abstract phrase to a concrete, attractive anime that people will actually want to stop and watch on their phones? That's the journey we're going on right now. Let's break it all down.
First things first, before you can build anything, you've got to understand your materials, right? So we're going to break this whole creative task down into clear, manageable pieces. This is where that little spark starts to look like a real plan.
Every creative project like this really stands on three main pillars. First, you have to analyze your core theme, like what are we really trying to say? Second, we need to define the visual style. What's this thing going to look like? And finally, you got to respect the technical constraints. What are the rules of the sandbox we're playing in?
So, here's the crucial part. When we boil down our source text, we get this incredibly powerful, universal theme, a journey from a state of hiding to a state of shining. This isn't just a plot point, you guys. This is the emotional engine that's going to drive every single decision we make from here on out.
Okay, so with our theme locked in, we can actually start to build. This next phase is all about taking that core idea of transformation and shaping it into a real narrative. A story with a beginning, a middle, and an end.
And this is the question you have to ask yourself as a storyteller. It's not just about what happens, it's about the internal change. What does it feel like to be in the shadows? And maybe more importantly, what's that trigger, that moment that makes you decide to finally step into the light?
Now check this out. This slide is a perfect way to visualize that internal journey. On one side, you've got hiding, which we can define with words like shadows, isolation, quiet, self-doubt. Then, on the other side, shining becomes all about light, connection, finding your voice, and confidence. It just brilliantly shows you the emotional distance our character has to travel.
And guess what? We can map this transformation perfectly onto that classic three-act structure. So in Act 1, our characters, let's call them Ginu and Rumi, are stuck in that state of hiding. Act 2 is the turning point, that spark that makes them want something more. And Act 3 is the payoff. They are finally shining. It's simple, it's powerful, and it's absolutely perfect for a short video.
Okay, now for the really fun part. We have our story, but how do we make it look amazing? This is where we define what an attractive anime style actually means and translate our emotional story into a specific look and feel.
See, attractive isn't just some vague idea. It's a collection of really specific modern techniques. We're talking about super expressive eyes that can tell a story all on their own, hair and clothing that feel dynamic and alive, a color palette that just pops with emotion, and of course, dramatic lighting and shadow to carve out the scene. And it's all held together by that clean, crisp line work.
And this shows exactly how we can use those elements to serve the story. In Act 1, during that hiding phase, our color palette is going to be really muted, lots of cool blues, deep shadows. It just feels isolating. But by Act 3, when they're shining, the whole screen is just going to be flooded with warm yellows, bright highlights, and soft glows. The visuals are literally telling the story of their transformation.
Story, check. Style, check. All right, now we have to get practical. But listen, the technical constraints, they're not limitations. Think of them as creative challenges that are going to help shape our final product, especially for how people actually watch videos today.
So, the first and probably most important constraint is this: the 9:16 aspect ratio. Basically, that's the tall, skinny rectangle of your phone screen. It's the standard for TikTok, for Reels, for Shorts, and it completely changes how you have to think about composing a shot.
So, how do we make this work for us? Well, you focus on faces and vertical action, because on a small screen, those close-ups are what create an immediate emotional connection. You can use all that extra vertical space at the top and bottom to create a sense of scale and depth. Your job is to guide the viewer's eye up and down, making the height of the frame a storytelling tool. In this vertical world, every shot needs to be incredibly clear and deliver an instant impact.
And the other major constraint is time. We have just 2 minutes, 120 seconds. That means there is absolutely zero room for filler. Every single shot, every expression, every cut has to serve the story and push that narrative forward. Every single moment has to be meaningful.
So let's put it all together. We've analyzed the theme, we've crafted a story, we've defined a style, and we've acknowledged our constraints. Now we can synthesize all of that into one cohesive blueprint for our short film.
And here it is, our final plan, clear as day. The theme? From hiding to shining. The story? A character's journey to find their voice. The style? Modern, vibrant anime with that dramatic lighting. And the format? A 9:16 vertical frame, under 2 minutes. You see? Every single piece connects right back to that original creative spark.
So what's the big takeaway here? We started with just the feeling, a single line of text, and by using a structured process, analyzing, building, and refining, we've turned it into a complete, actionable, creative plan. It really shows that even the smallest idea can become something powerful if you know how to nurture it.
And that leaves us with just one final question. We've shown you the process, the blueprint for turning an abstract feeling into a real, tangible story. So now, what about you? What idea, what feeling, what story will you bring into the light?